In this video, I will be teaching you how to improve your score for an AP language test for German, Spanish, French, Japanese, etc. This is by Ali Salyers. First, we're going to start off talking about the email. There are two types of emails. There's the formal and the informal. In general, you're going to want to know who you're speaking to. Is it someone you know? Like a family member or a friend, or is it going to be someone you don't know, someone over a head of a department or an activity, or someone of importance? When you know who you're speaking to, then you can decide which type of grammar you need to use. Will it be formal for someone you don't know who's important, or informal for a family member or a friend? And you want to stick to your the native language's grammar for formal, informal, and use vocabulary for formal, informal. For the formal email, it's again for someone who you don't know, but someone who's important. You're going to begin with your introduction. Dear Mr. or Miss, last name, like you would in English. An example of this is Estimado Señor Gomez, and that's in Spanish. Answer all of the questions previously asked in the email. You will get an email that you have to read and then respond to that, so you want to answer all the questions in the first email to the best of your ability. So an example of this would be, Was haben Sie für Mittagessen gegessen? Ich habe Pizza gegessen. So that was in German, and it was asking, what did you eat for lunch? I ate pizza for lunch. You're going to want to stay on topic. You're never going to want to stray away from what they're talking about. So if you're emailing a overseer of trash in the city about recycling, then you're not going to want to talk about public transportation and how more people need to use public transportation instead of driving cars because of the emission of gases that are bad for the environment, etc., etc. You're going to want to ask, what are ways I can help with recycling? What do you think is the best way to make all citizens recycle, etc., etc. You're going to ask 3 questions. They must be on topic, and they should not be too simple. You should make them more complex. Why do you think this? And can you explain, etc. So an example of this could be, what are some ways that I can help my community improve the amount of trash disposed? Or something of that nature that requires more of a thoughtful answer than just a, hey, how are you kind of question. And then before you sign off, you want to thank them for their time. I had an example here in Japanese, but it's gone now, so formal, farewell is needed in the end of your email. So an example of this would be mit freundlichen Grüßen, and then your name. Most times in the beginning of the introductory paragraph, it will tell you who you are, if you're yourself or if you're someone else. And then you will assign that person's name or your name, just depends, and this would be like sincerely your name in English. Next, we have the informal email, which is to a friend or family member, and you're going to start with an introduction for this one as well. This will be dear, their first name, in the language that you are taking the test in. So if I was emailing my mother, it would be dear mom, not dear Miss Salyers. You still want to answer all of the questions that the first email asked, and then you want to ask 3 questions of your own. These don't need to be as complex as the ones for the formal email, so if your friend is asking you about places you can travel in Europe, then you're going to want to ask her questions like, how did you get around, etc., etc. What did you eat? What was your favorite part? And it doesn't need to be too thought-provoking. Again, for this one and all emails, you want to stay on topic and not talk about something different than what they're asking you. Now on to the persuasive essay. This is like an English paper. First you're going to start out by reading a article or some kind of passage, and then you're going to listen to normally a conversation or an interview or something like that, and then you're going to have a graphic that you can look at. So first you're going to start out with the introduction paragraph like you do in an English paper, and there needs to be a hook with a statistic or a quote or something like that that grabs the reader's attention and makes them interested to read your paper. Then you're going to want to talk about what you're going to be talking about in this paper. So an example would be, I'm going to be talking about dogs and why dogs are good pets. And then you're going to make a thesis statement like you would in an English paper. A thesis statement is taking a side on an issue, but you're not going to state an opinion. So an example of the thesis statement would be dogs are good pets because they are loyal, kind, etc., but not I think that dogs are good pets because. The body paragraphs are going to be used to talk about the information that you get from the listening, the reading, and the graphic. So in these, you'll be taking quotes, statistics, etc. from these and using them to help you argue your thesis statement. In this part, you will still not express your opinion, so no I thinks. In your conclusion paragraph is where you finally get to state your personal opinion. I think dogs are good pets because they make me happy, they're cute, etc. And then summarize everything that you wrote about in your paper. So I said that dogs were good pets because they're loyal, they're kind, they improve people's mood, etc. And now on to the conversation with the recording. So first of all, for any conversation or recording that you have to do for the AP language test, you are not ever gonna stop talking. They take more points off for having just a blank recording or you sitting there and saying than they will for you completely messing up or going off topic or not talking about what they want you to talk about, or saying something that sounds really wrong, like grammatically, or the wrong usage of vocabulary words. They want to hear you speak. That's the whole purpose of the recording. So first, you're going to want to read the introduction, the introductory paragraph at the very top. It'll tell you all the information that you need to, like what topic you're talking about and who this person is. So, and then after that, you want to read the outline, which will tell you what the recording will say. So it'll say, it's going to talk about this, and then it's going to ask you a question, and then you want to ask it a question and then say something about this. So the outline is the most important part to help you know what to talk about. And then if you run out of things to say, elaborate, or just go with what the recording says. So if the recording said something about bananas and you were like, oh, I don't like bananas, but say that, like, I don't like bananas and I had this for lunch, etc. They just want to hear you speak. Now on to the cultural comparison. This is going to be about a topic and what it's like in your country of the language that you're taking and the United States and how it's the same. So first you're going to want to read the prompt. What topic are you talking about? An example would be public transportation. So then you're going to want to make notes. So if I was taking the test and I had public transportation, I would make a chart that says Germany, both, and America. So then I would compare America and Germany. If you're not sure what to talk about, if you run out of things to talk about before the time's up, just elaborate on what you already said. But make sure that it is something that has to do with the topic. And then you're going to start with your foreign language. So for me, it would be Germany, and then move to the US, and then state what's the same. So if both have trains and cars and etc., that's what you're going to want to do for that part. And then again, don't ever stop talking. I hope this helps a lot, and good luck on your AP exam.